What's up, man? How you doing?
Awesome to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Always fun. You're good on camera. You're good in person. You're good at shows. You're
Fake
good
it till you make it. That's right.
Selling ranches. You mentioned a ranch you guys just brought online out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
What is the hot thing going on there? You seem pretty fired up about it.
It's crazy, man. So it's a Wagyu ranch in western Oklahoma, kind of north Wichita Falls, and it is the highest quality, largest red Wagyu herd in the world on this ranch.
Okay.
And so we're selling the ranch with the entire herd, the entire operation. It's called ABN Ranch. You can look it up, abn.com or abnranch.com. But it is wild. It's something new for us of selling an entire operation. And it's not just land. And so we're still learning about it, still trying to figure out everything on it, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So what is usually you're not selling, the business operation with the property, a ranch, unless sometimes a commercial hunting operation.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're buying a complete turnkey, here's the keys, go operate it.
Yeah. You're making money the next day.
Yeah,
that's true. And so it's crazy.
So how many head of cattle?
He's got about 500 to 600 head of cows right now on it. The cool thing about it though is the embryos and the semen he has off these cows, and so that's where the money is. And so he's been able to ship out embryos across the world to other countries, to even North America, for other people to start growing their herds of red Wagyu cows. So it's not necessarily the cows on his ranch are not really for sale. Those are his breeder cows and the ones that he keeps to get the embryos out of. But it's the embryos and the semen he has from these bulls that go back to the original 6 red Wagyu bulls from Japan. And so no one else has it. He's the only one in the country that has the genetics that go back to the root of all Wagyu cows.
Wow.
And so it is, and it's crazy.
So isn't Australia one of the main producers of Wagyu?
It is right now. Yeah. Well, Australia is the biggest exporter of Wagyu now, but we're looking to change that with this herd and find a new buyer for it, and working with other countries in South America to help with it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That's exciting because you guys get to do something different all the time.
Yeah. And that's what's great about this job. I mean, it's not like you're going to an office every day doing the same thing every day. And that's why we love it.
Yeah.
Every day is different. You don't know what's held for you that day. And so we come to the office and we never know where we're going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, I want to change gears. Just real quick, not real quick, because it's kind of the point of this whole brokerage journey, and why we got you here today on the podcast. So, currently you are, founder, partner of Ranchman Properties, which is pretty cool. You guys were with us, in the very early days. So we've had this long standing, might be a decade now.
It has been
coming up on. You're now KW Land on the leadership there, or the director at KW Land. Tell me, let's rewind that. Although we're here today, you're where you're at today. Let's rewind that and go back to the beginning. You graduated Baylor, and then what?
Yeah, man, it was crazy. So I actually taught and coached for a year out of college, and then our story, even Ranchman, kind of starts there because there was a kid there at the time that was in middle school that kind of became like a little brother to me. And so we'll talk about that later, but that was kind of the catalyst of Ranchman going 5 years later. But I didn't know what I wanted to do after that. I didn't want to sit in the classroom every day.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to work with people. I knew I didn't want to wear a suit and tie to work. And I really, at that point in my life, was like, I don't want somebody to tell me what my value is. And so I went and met with a guy that was in real estate, and I didn't go meet with him because he was in real estate. He was more of a mentor of mine. And I was like, man, I don't know what I want to do. I'm here. I'm married now. I got to figure out life, And so he was like, well, think about real estate. And I'm like, well, I don't even know what real estate is, right? Once he explained it to me, it kind of fit what I wanted to do with my life. Working with people, not sitting behind a desk all day, not having to wear a suit and tie, and not having a cap on what I can make, And so I started. That's the reason I got into real estate, and worked with them for a few months doing property management, leasing, and then ended up going to Keller Williams in 2010 to start selling properties. And so, the first year I was in the business, I joined a team, and the first 6 months of my career, I did not sell a house or a property or anything. And I had probably 10 or 15 deals fall through. And there was a point where Jim McKissick, who I was working with at the time, he'd been in the business for a long time, and he came in and said, man, he almost kind of chuckled about it. Said, I've never seen anything happen to somebody the way it's happening to you right now. And so I was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. You know, I'm doing the activities, but nothing's happening. And so I remember about 6 months into it, I went and showed a property to a family, and we get to the house, and it was on some land outside of Denton. And, you know, they were kind of upset because there's a couple things that fell through before. We pull up into the driveway, and this dog jumps on their car, scratching the door. And like, I'm, you know, embarrassed. And we get out and look at the house, and they don't like it. And I remember leaving that appointment, and I was at a low point, right? Because I had no money. And my wife, she was working at a bakery at the time in Dallas, making $10 an hour or something. And I pulled over and I just started crying. I was like, I got to figure this out. You know, it was a make or break kind of moment. Like, do I stay in the real estate and continue to grind this out, or do I go and get a 9 to 5 somewhere? Mm-hmm. And so I let it out for 5-10 minutes and said, okay, now I have to buckle down. And so I remember after that, I went back to the office and said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this work. And so I literally would sit there all day long calling people. I went to the company I was working for and took their books of all their leads that come in every day, probably for the past year. And I started calling every single one of them. And that's all I did all day long. And as a result of that lead generation, over the next 6 months, I sold 36 properties. Oh, and so that was kind of the catalyst saying, okay, this works if you do the work, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what started the career in real estate. I mean, it's crazy.
So before, let's say the first 6 months, mm-hmm. which is hard to get, your first 6 months in most real estate is feast or famine, mostly famine. But were you not doing those things before? You just didn't know what to do, but you also didn't know what not to do where you were wasting time.
I just didn't do it consistently. You know, I'd get a deal in contract and think that it was going to close and make a little money, you know. And so then it just wasn't a consistent thing I was doing. And then, you know, and to me, it was, you can, even if you did it consistently and not enough of it, if you're making 5 contacts a day, that's consistent, but it may not be enough.
Yeah. And
so I just got to the point where I'm going to call literally all day long and find the people that want to buy something.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's similar stories, you know, I kind of have the same thing. This isn't about me, but, it's like you do have that epiphany at some point, and then you start getting down to the dirty work, what it really takes to be even functional, you know, not alone, you know, highly successful and put yourself in the top 5%ers in the United States. But what people don't realize is what it takes to be a land broker. I know a lot of people will try to talk other people out of it. Like, it looks cool on Instagram, but it's all the time, you know, and it's
all the time. Yeah. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a 9 to 5. It's a lifestyle that you have to live in order to be a part of it, you know, because those landowners can sniff it out, you know.
So when did Ranchman come into the picture? Like the formation of that?
Well, so I'd worked for that company for 2 years. Then I ended up going out and starting my own team through Keller Williams with a buddy of mine I went to high school with. And we sold a couple hundred properties in a couple of years, and it just didn't work out. So I started just selling myself. And this is where that kid in middle school comes back into the picture. So he called me one day and said he had a buddy that was wanting to get into real estate, and that was giving him roping lessons. And so I didn't know who the guy was. And I said, well, tell him to call me. I'll talk to him. And I'd kind of forgotten about it, and I'd helped that kid's dad buy an investment property, and it reminded me of him. So I called Tanner back and said, hey, who's your buddy that wants to get into real estate? And so he gave me Jason's number, and I called Jason, and he just got done with his getting his license, and he was actually working as a consultant on the Wagner purchase, the Wagner Ranch purchase. And so the guys who were working with were telling him, hey, he needs to get into real estate. And so that's why he started getting into it. So I had him come in the office one day, and we sat there and we talked for probably 3 or 4 hours. And I was getting burnt out on selling houses, and he came from the Western world his entire life. And you know, after a couple of months of talking, he was like, hey, would you be interested in partnering up? And let's go sell farm and ranch real estate. That's what I want to do. And that's really how it started. This was back in 2015. And I'd sold a couple of tracts of land before that. And my passion's always been hunting and the outdoors. And so I was like, well, you know, you're the cattle guy. You're from the Western world. I love the hunting side. Let's see if it works. And so in 2015, we started Ranchman Properties, sitting there figuring out what our name was going to be, you know. And we got kicked around for the first couple of years and trying to figure out how it worked. And, you know, I'd sold a ton of real estate in the past, but, you know, going into an appointment and not having a resume and not having the credentials, we lost out on a bunch of deals early on. And we just come back to the office and learn from those deals and figure out how we can improve our business and what we have to do to implement in our business to get us to the level of getting those deals or winning the listings. Mm-hmm. And, you know, over the next couple of years, that's what we did.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's just, you know, it's been growing and it's been great.
Yeah. It's been fun to watch you two as a team, but also growing your team of other people joining in, being able to attract other talent obviously helps you guys attract administrative staff that can help facilitate all these things that are going on in the public's view, or just sitting in a listing presentation and the confidence that you have because of what you've built. You know, sometimes, you know, young guys get into the land business thinking it's an Instagram business, when in reality it's the furthest thing from that. Those are just the high points. But at the end of the day, it's very difficult if you're sitting across the table from, you know, a landowner that's, let's say, older, you know, in their 60s, let's say, and they know their way around ranches or their specific ranch, and you're just fresh into the industry. That's going to be a hard sell.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think that call routine helped you to take those punches, you know, take those no's and just to keep going. And I do think between knowing Jason and knowing you, just y'all's persistence and determination, athletic background, his competitive equine background. This is like, hey, you know, sports is tough. Rodeoing's tough, but we didn't quit. Like, we kept after it. And I think that probably carried in to your work life.
Yeah.
And not that anybody's arrived. I'm not suggesting that. None of us have. But I think that probably what got you over the hump, where getting deals got easier and easier and easier. And other entrepreneurs and other owners and business leaders and business owners, they recognize that in somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. You know, early on too, it's well, I remember when I got into real estate and I didn't really understand sales. I didn't understand success. And so I just took a deep dive into reading books. And I read, but when I was in college, I probably read one book in my life. And so when I get out of college, I start reading, and I was to the point where I was reading 30, 40 books a year on self-development books, business books, like Business on Success, what that looks like. And what I learned, Darren Hardy, he was a publisher of Success Magazine, and I'd listened to some of his stuff before. And, you know, one thing he always said was, you cannot control success, but you can control failure. He goes, you know, if you chase success, Jim Rohn would say it's like chasing butterflies that only elude you. You can't do it. You say, but what you can control is failure. He goes, life is like a pendulum. He goes, on one side, you have failure, defeat, rejection. On the other side, you have joy, happiness, success. He goes, most people in life, they stay in this little, right in the middle of that pendulum, where they're only going to experience a little failure and a little rejection. So they're all going to experience a little success and happiness. He goes, what he did was he went out and he was in real estate. He said, I'm going to go out and figure out how to fail my A off, right? And so he's like, what I did was he would write down, he'd have a checkbox and had 50 check marks on it. And he would not end the day until he got 50 no's from customers. And so he said, and what happened was, after I got my 50 no's, like, I was glad I got my 50 no's, because that means I was getting closer to being done, you know? Mm-hmm. But the thing was, as he continued to get those no's, some of those people he talked to, they started saying yes. Yeah. You know, and so that all that failure, rejection, defeat that he was having, the pendulum will only swing one more way, you know, and it was on the side of massive success. And so for us, it was never chasing success. It was going out and failing in all different aspects. We can get into that. It'd take 3 hours to talk about, right? And all the things we've done to fail at. Yeah. But when we fail, we learn. And if you're not doing the activities, you're not going to fail, and you're not going to have any success, you know? So that's really early on in our career. That's what I kind of instilled in myself, of saying, I have to go out and learn how to fail in order to learn how to succeed. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. So I think it was, I read one of Charlie Munger's books. I think I'm remembering this right, but one of the things he said is just don't screw it up, because your biggest competitor is you, of you messing something up. So just don't mess anything up. But that goes back to those no's and the statistical mindset. And it's really, you don't have to be statistically minded, but the reality is, you go back to that activity level that you were talking about at the beginning. But now, as you've matured over a 6-month, 12-month period, 18 months, now you know what not to work on, how to qualify somebody, oh, I'm not chasing that one. They're just going to go into my routine marketing campaigns. I'm whittling this down. And you really learn how to qualify deals or qualify prospects.
Absolutely.
But I also, we even have this here. Well, sales rep talks to somebody like, I haven't heard from them in 4 weeks. I'm just going to leave them alone. Because we've learned that same way when selling a ranch, like you can't talk somebody into buying the technology, and you can't talk somebody into selling a ranch. You just have to be their voice of reason all along the way. And when they're ready, you're building up that pipeline, and all of a sudden you get that phone call or that text message or an email.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like this is a career. Like we don't look at it short term. And I think if you go out there and try and sell yourself very hard on these people, they know what you're doing. Right. And so for us, like, yes, we're in sales, but we're really in consulting. And so we go out and meet with people and say, look, we're not here to just sell your ranch. Like that's something you have to decide on your own, but we want to help you through the process. We want to help you after the process. Anything you need when it comes to real estate or when it comes to any connections you have that you need, we want to be a resource for you. We want to be the go-to resource for you, all things land, all things real estate. And when the time comes for you to sell, we're here because we're not going anywhere. Yeah. You know, and there's been so many people that we've talked to, and it's been year, 2, 3 years, they come back and say, we're ready, you know, great. You know, we're here.
Yeah. In effect, that's called pipeline.
Yeah,
You're absolutely. Just building up your pipeline and you've got an audience now. And so it looks like your momentum happened many years ago. Doesn't mean that it's going to get easier in the future, but it's not as hard to close deals or get prospects at that point.
Yeah.
Next topic I wanted to hit is you've mentioned the word mentorship and on off-camera conversations and everything else. You seem to be attracted to that. You know, you use the phrases like brothers in Christ and things like that. The team that you've assimilated so far, you've almost, what I see of you directly and indirectly is you almost enjoy that. You do enjoy that mentorship, but you also believe it's kind of like a calling, to gather people, help them be successful, help you, help them. It's a good platform. The team that you've created today, is that one of your personal missions is like, I want to help other people make money because other people helped you? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think Zig Ziglar is the one who says you can help other people get everything they want. You'll have everything in your life you ever need, right? And so for us, like we truly care about people and we truly want to help people. The hardest part about this business, and I think one of the hardest parts in leadership is wanting to help people more than wanting to help themselves. And so that's what you try to stay away from. It's like, because Jason and I, we will give everything we have to help people become successful. And we know the path to get there. We didn't create it. It's just what we've done. And so like we talk to agents all the time and say, hey, this is it. Whatever you want to do in real estate, whatever you want to do, there's a path for it and we can help you get there. Now, it's not that we created the path. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We just had people pouring into us early on, telling us what we had to do. And everything you could do wrong, we've done. Everything you can do right, we've done. And so for us, we love helping people. And we tell our agents all the time, like, well, we're going to sell more than you are. Well, that would be the best day of my life if one of our agents came in and sold more than us in a year. And I told one a couple of days ago, I said, I will be your biggest fan if you did that. I can promise you, because that's what we want.
Yeah, game on. Let's
absolutely.
do it.
We love it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Switch gears again. Your dad seems to be a big part of your life. He's all over your social media and doing pre-interview research. I can't help but ask about this 69 Chevy restoration. Did that ever get off the ground?
Not yet. It was going to, and a few months ago, and then I ended up going on an Elka instead. That was very last minute.
That was the deposit start on the truck?
Yeah. So no, that's going to happen here soon. We're going to do that. And it was actually my granddad's truck, and he had bought it new in 69. And so, right? He was the owner of it. And when he passed away, and my family ended up selling it off, which I told them not to. And then probably 7 or 8 years later, luckily we sold it to a family friend. And 7 or 8 years later, my mom had called the guy and said, hey, if you ever want to get rid of that truck, we want it back.
First
we got it. We got it back. And so we're going to restore it. And it's awesome.
Well, the reason why it jumped out at me is because I had a 72 Chevy. Back in high school. That was my very first truck, long wheelbase, Chevrolet rally wheels. I put glass packs on it, which you can't do anymore, with like 4-inch chrome tips. And so I used to like shove the water hose up in there, turn on the water. and then it would crackle all that fiberglass in there. And then I would go drive under these highway bridges, and I just put it in neutral and roll to the light. And
cracking, baby. Yeah.
Oh.
That's funny.
Yeah, so immature, but so fun. I would still do that today.
We've all done it.
Yeah. But anyway, mine was two-tone. It was red and white. And I looked at that one. I was just like, baby, man, that thing, pearly white, all waxed up, new Chevy wheels on it. I don't know if you want to restore it to originals or what. And that the front has the chrome grille on the front. I was like,
there were several years where Natalie, my wife, and I, we'd take it on date nights, and we'd go. There's some place we love going. They're little, just Mexican restaurants. They're not even restaurants. They're in convenience stores, but it's the best Mexican food. So we'd go in there and order tacos and bring them out to the truck and sit in the truck with a 32-ounce Modelo or something in a brown paper bag eating tacos. And that, to me, is the best date night you can have. And I'll go do all the fancy stuff, but if you, in that truck at that Mexican convenience store eating tacos, man, that's the best.
Yeah, but make sure if you put the new seating in it, make sure you keep the bench seat.
Yeah,
because your girl has to sit next to you.
You got to put the arm around her. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I was like, oh, dude, I want that so bad.
Yep, absolutely.
Speaking of dad and everybody else, it doesn't have to be him, but some folks that have been influential in your life, whether that's spiritually, business-wise, relationally, or other. Who comes to mind, and who do you like? Man, I've always admired that guy, and he's poured into me, or something like that. Yeah,
so they've all done it a little differently. I would say my dad, early on, he's one of my biggest mentors in my life, and really how he mentored me was through the way he conducted his business. It was not necessarily that he verbally taught me anything, but it was me watching him. I remember going to college, and I didn't know how to tie a tie yet, and he wore a tie every day because he owned a bank. And so like little things, it was never those, but like how he treated people and how he conducted business, his work ethic, his honesty, his integrity. I would observe that. And the friends he had in his life at the time that, they were really close to me, like second dads, they had successful businesses, and watched them, how they conducted themselves. That was a real big thing for me. And I'm an observer. I love analyzing people and watching people. And so that's how I learned a lot early on. My spiritual mentor, his name is Mike, and he discipled me probably 10, 12 years ago. And, I talk to him every day. He actually just called where we're sitting here. And so, he's a really big, important person in my life who's really taught me how to love others, how to disciple other men, because that's something that's a very big passion of mine is helping other men. And so he really was the catalyst for that. And so we talk on a daily basis. And Jason, when we partnered 10 years ago, he's taught me a lot. And so, just about marketing, you can't find a better person in this world that loves people and that cares about people more than Jason Trosper.
Yeah, you should see Jason Trosper at a trade show, man. He is everybody's friend.
Yeah, he wears me out sometimes, but we'll go to a place and he'll just want to go talk to everybody in the room. I'm like, that's great for you, man. I'm gonna sit back and close the deal.
Tell me what y'all talked about. Give me the
yeah, exactly. But I think those three. Then one of my best friends, Lee Ramsey. He's a very successful businessman in our town, and he's like a brother to me. And so just seeing his work ethic and how he's treated people and what it truly means to be loyal, I've learned from him. Whatever goes on in your life, there's people in your life that, at least I hope everybody has this, but you could be the worst possible person in the world and do a very dumb thing, but like that person will be there with you, right? They're not going to ask questions. They're going to be loyal brothers. Yeah. And to me, that's very important. I've never had a lot of friends. I don't care to have a lot of friends. I care to have a core people, that core group of men in my life that I can share life with and be very vulnerable with, Yeah. And so those are the four that have made the biggest impact on me as a person.
Yeah. I think that comes out in you, just being around you, and then you and around your team and growing your team. And that can be a very successful platform for other people to succeed. And so it's all just kind of dovetails together, that mentality and that approach. I think both of us, I think we're lucky to grow up in the faith. It gives you a lot of perspective in business. Business can be really hard some days. It can be really great some days. Yeah. Same way in the church, same way in your marriage, same way with your kids, same way in life, and all of that. So, and how you respond to those, you've already got a guidepost that's not going to, kick you off track so far in one direction or the other that you can't get recentered for yourself or for somebody else. So it's just really cool to watch you guys succeed.
Well, I think too, also finding our identity. Our identity is not in selling real estate. You know, it's not. It's in Christ. And so for us, like I'll tell people all the time, I'm in real estate to make money to provide for my family. My full-time job is discipleship and evangelism. That's what I do. And so for me, I know where my identity is. And so I can live a life and be joyful and happy in what I do, because ultimately I know what I'm here for. Right. And so the real estate side is great. I love it. And it's provided well for our family, and it's going to continue to provide well. And it's been a blessing for Jason and I and for everybody on our team. But I think when you truly know why you're here on this earth, it puts things in perspective.
It makes things a lot easier.
It does.
Yeah. It makes things
when those tough times come, you can weather through them,
Yeah. And when your spouse, when Natalie would, she's in alignment with you. I mean, that duo, husband-wife duo, whether you guys are in the business together or homemaker and working, professional, there can't be a better combo that was ever created.
No, it's not. I always call her my ride or die. And Jason would say the same thing about Melinda, because even to this day, there's times where we'll be at the office at 4:00 and we'll get a call and we got to go somewhere. We'll drive 3 or 4 hours away to go do something and on a ranch or something. And it's easy and good to be able to have the relationship with your wife to say, hey, babe, I'm not going to be home tonight. And they know why. And they don't patronize you. They don't put you down. They don't try to resent it. The best thing a man can have in their life is a woman that supports them, and supports them on providing for the family, doing the things that they need to get done.
I think it's kind of one of the biggest predictors of a family's success, and so and the other thing is letting your wife in on, business details too, because they need to have perspective. At face value, some of the things you do, may not make sense, and it gets to be too much. They just need to have perspective.
Oh yeah. And when they have that perspective, they trust you when you're making a decision.
Yeah.
Knowing that they trust the decision you're making is the best for the family.
Yeah. Whether
it happens or not, or whether it's going to go good or not, they trust you.
Yeah.
And if it goes bad, which things have gone bad before, they're there in your corner.
Yeah.
And so that's the best thing, because I think men, obviously with their wives, they're the most vulnerable with their wives than anybody, and so they're the ones that can hurt them the most. They're the ones that can build them up the most.
Yeah.
So when you're going through those things, especially as an entrepreneur or business owner, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's things that you're going to get into some storms that we've been in. And they're right there with you. And it refreshes you. It builds your confidence. It allows you to go take those risks. I mean, an entrepreneur is a risk taker, to go take those risks to go be successful.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better.
Yeah. Totally agree. Couldn't agree more. So your belief system also, and speaking of your wife, kind of tie those two things together, your kids, you guys homeschool those. You love that. I've actually had that experience with one of our sons. It was probably the best year of my wife's life.
Yeah.
She loved it. But it was very productive for him as a young kid, adolescent as well. But just talk about that decision, and then talk about that lifestyle now, not from like the day to day, but like what you believe that means for your children.
Yeah. So, it was a few years ago, my wife and I started talking about it. And before we had kids, she was a teacher. And so her passion and her gift on this earth is to teach. And to be a mom. There's, to me, no one better. And so, a few years ago, we started talking about it, and it was just a deal where when we grew up, the homeschool kids were weird, and that's what people thought.
Yeah.
And so so it kind of gave us a different perspective on what the reality is on homeschooling. And so we finally got to the point where, like, look, man, we want to eventually travel. We want to be with our kids. We want to be the ones raising them. And so this past year, this year is the first year we're doing it. So this past year we decided, you know what, we had daughters in 5th grade, one in 2nd grade, one in 1st grade. And we have a toddler too that's in preschool. But we said, why don't we just take the leap of faith and do it?
Yeah.
And so it's been great. And my wife teaches them. They go to a co-op once a week, and they love it. It's great, because at the end of the day, we're here on this earth for so many days, and we don't know when that day is going to end. And so who do we want raising our kids, especially in the environment the world's in today? And I don't want to go down that path, but for us, it looked like, if our kids go for 8 hours a day to a school and sit in a classroom on a desk, and you're not learning 8 hours, it's like, then you're missing half of their life as a kid. And so for us, we wanted to get that time back and be with them. And so that we can go travel, we can go do fun things together while learning, and so that's the reason we did it.
Yeah. And I not to get off in philosophical, but I love it that you're doing that, especially with young boys, strapping a kid in a seatbelt into a chair at school for 8 hours, or everything's controlled and on an agenda, which I get why it is the way it is, but for little boys like that, they're like babies in a box
Oh, yeah.
And that's also not how most young boys learn. And so they're wanting to blow and go and tinker with things and break things down and put them back together and just be boys and kick rocks and all that.
Oh, for sure. There's a book I read years ago called Wild at Heart. It's a really good book.
Very popular.
Very popular book. And just the DNA of a boy, like it's not just in the classroom 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's to go learn, like you said, with your hands and experience things. And, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with public school at all, or going to a classroom 8 hours a day. It's just not for our family, what we decided to do. And we're going to give it a try and see how it works.
Yeah.
So
that's exciting. I know the other day you were talking about your kids being on a little day excursion while we're at a trade show and just being with mom, and then it is educational. I mean, they're going to whatever, they're going to museums or botanical gardens and things like that. But that's just really cool that you'd be too tired at the end of the day, to go run down to whatever museum.
Yeah, no doubt.
What else you want to talk about, man? Like, this has been power packed. What's the coolest ranch you've ever sold?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think one of them, there's several, but I'll just mention one because it's on the top of my mind. So we're actually doing something at this ranch in a couple of weeks, but there's a ranch down in Bosque County we sold. And so it was the old Cobble Ranch. So Rex Cobble owned it years and years ago, and he had built it for his son. And at the time we sold it, it was 1,700 acres, had a 15,000 square foot log cabin on it, not one piece of sheetrock in the entire house. I mean, it was mesquite wood doors and all these things. And there was a guy we'd met through another ranch we had listed that he wanted to buy something. And we saw this one online, and the pictures weren't very good, and you really couldn't see what it was. But, being in the business, we saw so many things, we could see past those bad pictures, right? And so we finally convinced this guy to come look at it. He ended up buying it. And since then, he's turned it into about 4,000 acres, buying his neighbors out, high fenced it, created one of the best whitetail genetic herds in the state of Texas. And now he sells high-end hunts there. And so he's built more cabins and lodges, and it's called Union Hill now. And so if you want a good hunting experience, look up Union Hill hunting.
Union Hill's the one.
It is. They got $1 million buck. They have that they get the semen out of, and it is an experience. It is one of the coolest places.
Culinary, the whole night.
They have a chef that comes in and cooks all the meals. They're actually selling memberships now.
Okay.
That I'm not real familiar with yet, which we're going to talk to in a couple of weeks. But you can buy a membership to the ranch to come stay in the lodge and go out and hunt. It's kind of like a country club.
Yeah.
But you can also buy hunts as well. But he's one of our top clients that we've built a relationship with and have done a lot of deals with. But that's one of the coolest ranches that we've ever sold.
I bet. That's where didn't you post some photos of? Did you harvest there?
No, so we took some veterans out there last year.
Okay.
Some veterans, and they all got a deer, and it was a really cool experience. So we took them all out, some wounded vets, and had a great time, and cooked out and sat by the fire telling stories, and hearing their stories of their battles and them being active duty, and seeing them be able to shoot a deer was one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah.
And so we're going to continue doing that with some nonprofits and helping them in the outdoor space. And yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, it's like once in a lifetime.
Oh yeah,
for them.
Yeah,
just shooting a trophy like that. That's awesome. Well, let's. One other topic that we haven't covered, I want to make sure that we do cover, is the KW Land. Your involvement there. You and Jason are directors of KW Land. What's going on at KW Land? Numbers, growth plans, whatever you want to mention, because it is pretty intriguing. I mean, that on our side, your site's grown tremendously. And it's also, as a group within Keller Williams, has gained traction. So talk about your land summit, some of your numbers there.
Yeah. The land summit we had about a month ago. Y'all were there, it was fun. And we had it in the stockyards in Fort Worth. And it was the first time we actually held it off site from Austin, which is where Keller Williams is headquartered. And so we had it at the Spring Hill Suites in the stockyards and sold out the event, had great sponsors, exhibitors come, and everybody had a great feedback on it. We have speakers and we had masterminds and breakout sessions. And so it was awesome, man. So yeah, I mean, we've grown this past year, we've grown 11% in our numbers of agents in KW land. And, every year we look at our numbers and we're one of the top 1 or 2 land companies in North America when it comes to volume sold. And so this coming year, we've partnered with a lot of different companies, the land.com and Quintera Ag and others that are going to be released here soon. But, our goal this next year is to double in size. And so really with our capping system, which is unheard of in the land market, we speak to agents all across the country every day from all different brokerages. And the amount of money that these agents are paying their brokers is astonishing to me. And so the value that we provide the agents through KW Land and the capping system that we have through Keller Williams, almost any broker in the country cannot compete with it. And so we're about to tell the story. And so all these agents out here that are paying astronomical numbers to their broker, we're going to talk to and just give them an alternative. It may not work for them. It's just an alternative. And to help them become business owners. Our goal is to help agents become business owners and not salespeople. And so we're gonna teach you how to fish and not fish for you, kind of deal. Because when you're taught how to fish, you're gonna be able to feed your family for a lifetime. And so that's what we're gonna do is train them on how to become business owners and not paying that much to the brokerage and get all the resources you need. So we've been building it for the past 3 years, and we're finally to the point now where it's time to tell the story. And so we're really excited about it.
Yeah, you got a great base, a little momentum going. Which is great. Two things that I thought were cool from the show was you had said, look, I think there was people represented from 26 states there. Yeah. That's a cool number.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, I think the vibe of Fort Worth fit with your group. It's just hard to replicate the stockyards.
It is. You can't. There's nowhere else in the country that has it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to replicate cowboy full on. Nothing against Austin or San Antonio or anything like that, but there's something about the Fort Worth stockyard. So, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, easy to get to as well. With DFW Airport close by.
Yes.
And so I think this next year we're going to have it there again. It was just a great experience. We may have to get a bigger place because we can't put any more people in the one we had.
Yeah.
So that's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah.
So we're excited. Yeah.
Man, it's been good. What else do you want to talk about?
How are you doing? How's y'all's business?
Our business is good. What's different about the land business is, for us, is when you guys kind of taper off and it gets cold and then it's snow on the ground nationwide. We got customers coast to coast. Our business dials up.
Yeah.
So the calls come in, the updates, site updates come in, hey, I got to get this going. I want to get it live first quarter next year. So for us, it's like there's a sprint. And then if you look, there's like between now and December 31st, there's only 20 working days, because you got Thanksgiving in there and then you got Christmas, and we do a cool thing with our employees, and we don't work between Christmas and New Year's, just kind of a little perk of working here. But we do check our phones and emails. We don't let everything fall off, but nobody's like at their computer 24/7. But anyway, so it's been great. We love. I tell people this when they ask about the story is like, do you like what you're doing? I was like, man, I love building software. I love building product, and I like the land business. I love farms, ranches, all that kind of stuff. And I get to do both of them all on the same day every day, and no 2 days are the same. Like, I'll take it. It ain't easy, but I'll take it every single time.
Well, you're making your passion part of your business, and that's what we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And so, it's been great. It's been fun working with you guys over the past 10 years and seeing y'all grow as well. And the brokers that y'all are able to help. I mean, I look at y'all's website and see the brokers that are coming in that y'all are building websites for. And all, I mean, they're top-notch brokers too.
Yeah.
And so it's been fun that you're getting to hang out with a lot of really cool agents and brokers in this country, across the country. And so it's been cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the kudos. I love it too. Like, there's some really talented people out there, in our space. And it's cool to be able to operate at that level.
Yeah, no doubt. We are the best. Y'all are the best in the market. So we appreciate it.
Ben, thanks for coming in here today.
Appreciate you.
This has been so much fun.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
All right, let's do it again, Ben.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Yep.